Lady Death, the woman who sniped 300 German soldiers in World War II. Her nickname Lady Death struck fear into the hearts of German soldiers during World War II. In just a few months, she managed to kill 309 of them through sniping, a record that placed her among the greatest snipers of all time. She is the Soviet fighter Lyudmila Pavlichenko. Who is Lyudmila Pavlichenko, and what drove her to join the war? Lyudmila Pavlichenko was born in 1916 in Bila Tserkva, a large Ukrainian city located south of the capital, Kyiv. Pavlichenko is described as a tomboy in her childhood, often participating in boys' activities and enjoying outdoing them. She was an ambitious girl, especially when competing against boys, striving to prove that girls were no different from them and were just as strong, if not stronger. At the age of 14, Pavlichenko moved with her family to Kyiv, where she enrolled in a sharpshooting course. There she earned the Voroshilov Sharpshooter Badge, a prestigious marksmanship certificate in the Soviet military. She later secured a job at a local arms factory, according to the National World War II Museum website. In 1937, at the age of 21, Pavlichenko began studying history at Kyiv University, aspiring to become a teacher. However, her passion for competing with men in their activities drove her to participate in the university's shooting competitions. She also strengthened her skills by enrolling in sniper training courses. Her joining the Red Army. In June 1941, Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, and the unified German armed forces, known as the Wehrmacht, began their invasion of the Soviet Union. At that time, Pavlichenko was 24 years old and in her fourth year of university. However, as soon as she learned of the invasion, she quickly made her way to the Odessa recruitment office. The officers processing enlistment requests tried to assign Pavlichenko as a nurse, but her mind was set on joining the Soviet infantry forces. One day, Pavlichenko was able to prove her combat skills when she successfully sniped 2 enemy soldiers. As a result, her enlistment request was accepted, and she joined the 25th Rifle Division of the Red Army as a sniper. She became one of 2,000 Soviet snipers who served in World War II, with only 500 of them surviving, according to the British Sky History website. Pavlichenko's achievements in the Battle of Odessa and her promotion. Pavlichenko fought for approximately 2.5 months on the front lines during the Siege of Odessa, during which she managed to kill 187 soldiers from Nazi German forces and their allies, the Romanian and Italian armies. The achievement of killing a significant number of enemies in a short period earned her a promotion from the rank of private to senior sergeant while still in the midst of battle. However, the subsequent control of Odessa by Germany and its allies forced her to withdraw with her military unit toward the city of Sevastopol to defend it. Pavlichenko fought in the siege of Sevastopol for 8 months, during which intense combat resulted in heavy Soviet losses. In that fierce battle, she managed to increase her confirmed kill count to 257, earning her another promotion from senior sergeant to lieutenant. Sniper duels with the enemy. Pavlichenko was not just a sniper who eliminated enemy soldiers from the safety of her dugout. She was a skilled marksman who engaged in direct duels with enemy snipers. She managed to win 36 sniper duels against German army snipers, including one that lasted for 3 consecutive days. The German army's attempt to bribe Pavlichenko. In June 1942, during the fighting in Sevastopol, Pavlichenko was injured when shrapnel from a mortar shell hit her face. Before she could fully recover, the Soviet High Command decided to withdraw her from the battlefield, deeming her too valuable to risk further. By the time she was pulled from the front lines, Pavlichenko had solidified her reputation as a sniper, earning the nickname Lady Death after recording 309 confirmed kills. The German army was well aware of her achievements and repeatedly tried to bribe her. Using loudspeakers, they sent her messages saying, "Lyudmila Pavlichenko, come over to us. We'll give you plenty of chocolate and make you a German officer." When their attempts to bribe her failed, the Germans resorted to threats, declaring, "If we capture you, We'll tear you into 309 pieces and scatter them to the wind." In response, Pavlichenko later remarked, as quoted by history, "Hearing the threat made me happy because it meant the enemy knew my record perfectly well." From a skilled fighter to a symbolic figure? After fully recovering from her injury, Pavlichenko was not returned to fighting on the front lines. Instead, the Soviet leadership assigned her a new role: propaganda. In late 1942, Pavlichenko, who was a lieutenant at the time, arrived in the American capital, Washington, on behalf of the Soviet Union. Her mission was to rally American support for opening a second front in Europe. The Red Army was suffering heavy losses, and Stalin urgently needed the Allies to open another front to divert and divide the German army, which was swiftly advancing through Eastern Europe. Pavlichenko was the first Soviet citizen to be officially welcomed in the United States. During her visit, Pavlichenko became the first Soviet citizen to be welcomed at the White House, where she met First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. The two quickly formed a friendship. While in the United States, Mrs. Roosevelt invited Pavlichenko to accompany her on a tour across the country to share her experiences as a woman fighting on the front lines. Despite not speaking English, Pavlichenko embarked on the tour, delivering speeches to Americans eager to see the woman known as Lady Death. She stood before them in her military uniform, commanding attention and respect. At each gathering, she spoke about the importance of American contributions to support the Soviet fight in Europe, emphasizing the need for Allied unity against the Axis powers. The American press had a different opinion. Despite the widespread support Pavlichenko received from the people and government, the American press had a different opinion. They downplayed her achievements and focused more on her appearance and lack of makeup. The New York Times referred to her as the Lady Sniper, while other newspapers commented on her long skirt and clothing, calling it unfashionable and even suggesting it made her appear overweight. A local reporter even asked her whether it was allowed for Soviet women fighters to wear makeup on the front lines. Pavlichenko responded, effectively putting him in his place. "There are no rules for that, but who would have the time to worry about a shiny nose when there's a battle going on?" The impression she left on Americans, Pavlichenko left a strong and lasting impression on the American public during her visit. While some aspects of her visit were met with skepticism from the press, her personal presence and courage resonated deeply with many Americans. Her unyielding determination, both as a sniper and as a representative of the Soviet war effort, made her an admired figure. Despite the critical commentary from some sections of the media, the American public was captivated by her story, and she quickly became a symbol of strength, resilience, and the vital role women played in the war. Through her speeches and encounters, she showed the Americans not just the brutality of the war, but also the solidarity needed to defeat the Axis powers. Her tour succeeded in raising awareness and rallying support for the Soviet cause, and her image as Lady Death stayed with many who were inspired by her bravery. During her tour in the U.S., the Soviet sniper emphasized that there was no racial segregation within the Red Army and that gender equality was upheld. She left a positive impression on the Americans, even inspiring American singer Woody Guthrie to write a song about her in 1942, titled Miss Pavlichenko. Her return to the Soviet Union. Upon her return to the Soviet Union, Pavlichenko was promoted to the rank of major and awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the country's highest military honor. She also received the Order of Lenin twice, the highest civilian distinction in the Soviet Union. Pavlichenko never returned to combat but instead trained other Soviet snipers until the war's end in 1945. She resumed her studies at Kyiv University and became a historian. Unfortunately, like many soldiers, Pavlichenko suffered for years from post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. On October 10, 1974, Lyudmila Pavlichenko passed away after suffering a stroke. In her honor, the government issued 2 commemorative postage stamps to celebrate the most successful sniper in history. Question this video: what factors contributed to shaping Lyudmila Pavlichenko's skills as one of the greatest snipers in history? How did Pavlichenko cope with the psychological and physical pressures while being on the front lines of war? Share your thoughts with us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest content. Stay safe and take care. Goodbye and thank you.
Dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesem Jahr für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit